Record straight. Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Easter, everyone. Can you guys hear me? I see my mic for some reason is red. It's flashing red. And normally that's something going on with my audio. So I'm just going to do a quick audio check with you guys. Can everyone hear me loud and clear? Good morning, beautiful people. Happy Good Friday. How are you guys? We have Evelyn. Good morning, darling. Let me just see. We've got Leroy. Happy Easter, people. Christina. Good morning. Happy Good Friday, boo. Same to you, darling. Alwyn, good morning. Miss Sandy, good morning to you, Alwyn. Roger. Roger's here for it this morning. Good morning, Roger. Thank you so much for joining us. Evelyn says we are loud and clear. Good stuff. Jessica, happy Good Friday, Sandy. God bless you and your family. Thank you so much. Morna, happy Easter to you and your family. Juanita, beautiful Juanita is here for it. Thank you so much. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Dawn, good morning, Dawn. How are you? We've got Richie. There's a few new faces I've not seen commenting here before. Cherry Ann, good morning. Alwyn. Jason is joining us on YouTube. Thank you, Jason. Loud and clear. Happy Easter to you. We're just starting to pick up our YouTube following just a little bit. We actually have over 1,000 followers on YouTube, but you know, we've not been consistently streaming to our YouTube platform. So we are hoping now that we're trying out this new platform, we're hoping to do that on a more regular basis. So we appreciate Jason, who seems like a YouTube user, for joining in. We don't really have a whole lot of people in there that are streaming in that way. I think most people just still prefer to use Facebook and Instagram, of course. Let's not forget our Instagram folks. Happy Easter to Browlash, Miss M, Kevin, ZZ, Sammy, Zeus Baller, Wade is tuned in via IG as well. Evelyn, Courtney. Courtney's got his eyes on us. Hi, Courtney. He's checking us out. Roger says to turn up the volume. I'm speaking pretty loud and clear, but I will turn up my mic just a little bit. But just check things on your end. I think sometimes you've got to update the... I need to sit up. I was talking to my tech team about the comments, and they are supposed to be a little bit lower. So let me just try something out here. That doesn't seem to make a difference. So they had made some suggestions on what to do. Let me just try this. Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter how we adjust that ticker. All right, folks, we'll keep an eye on it. Make some recommendations to the tech team on how they can help us out here. Aha. I see what just happened. You see, as soon as I took away that ticker, it dropped. This is why you gotta pay attention. Sometimes it's the most subtle things that can make a difference. So, interesting. Learning as we go along here, folks. Garth Tibbetts. Good morning, Garth. Thank you so much for joining in. Dimitrik, happy Easter to you. Raquel, good morning, good Friday, happy Good Friday. God bless you and yours. Thank you so much, Raquel, and same to you. Mario wants to know who's feeding the stingrays and starfish. Well, you know what? The starfish are probably so thankful right now that no one is bothering them. Yeah, that's the kind of life that they're probably like. Please tell those humans to stay away. However, we do know that the stingrays, sorry, are being fed by the Department of Environment. So that was one of the concerns that people had is, you know, we've kind of created this fake environment whereby the stingrays actually only come because we feed them. And so it is a major tourist attraction for the Cayman Islands. And there were some concerns raised early on about what's going to happen to the stingrays if they're not fed for long periods of time. Are they going to go somewhere else? Are they going to disappear? And so the decision was taken to actually have someone at the Department of Environment continue to feed them. So they are getting fed. So there are marine units that are out there that are feeding them. Brow Lash, thank you so much. Karen, happy Easter, everyone on Instagram. Chet. Roger says it's better for him. Marshall, good morning. Happy Easter weekend to you, to one and all. Sandra Bonilla, happy Good Friday. And yes, Yolande confirms that the Department of Environment on their website. So they're not feeding them on the website. They're going in person and feeding them. I'm just joking. Gina, good morning. Yeah, like I said, we have definitely created a little bit of a situation where they rely on us. So we've got to do the right thing by the stingrays. You know, speaking of how just the world and Mother Nature is changing, there have been videos of animals retaken cities that have been deserted because obviously the human population and all of that keeps them at bay. But since that has changed, because we are now locked indoors, we're not going outside in these open spaces, Mother Nature is taking over, sometimes in a good way, and other times not so much of a good thing. So for example, an example of a good thing is, you know, the earth is replenishing itself in an extremely beautiful manner. So there is in Italy, we mentioned before, the fact that for the first time in a very long time in the Italian rivers, you can actually see the fish. Because apparently the water was so dirty and so murky and full of human pollution that you honestly could not see what was in the water. And now people are able to see what is there. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it sounds a little crazy to be honest, but even in Cayman, I have been told some of the DOE staff are like, this is the best the water has looked in a very long time. So I think that that's amazing. The Himalayan mountains, I'm trying to pull up a picture here, can be seen by certain parts of India for the first time in decades. Imagine that, folks. The first time in decades, there's some photos where they can actually see the mountain because of the pollution that, you know, when people are out and about, manufacturing companies are open, etc., there just isn't enough room to allow Mother Nature to even breathe, apparently. And they couldn't see, I mean, that's a humongous mountain. So it's like nature is getting a break from us and getting to heal for the first time in a long time. And of course, part of the Himalayas is like a, I guess, group of mountains, is one called, oh God, I won't even try to pronounce this one, but Kangshu, oh my God, this is a long Indian word. I don't even know, but it's gorgeous that this is actually now happening. Yeah, the first time in a long time. I want to pull up a picture to show you guys how beautiful this is. And so India is on a 21-day, they've been on a 21-day lockdown so far. And you know, India has a huge population. And so this situation has given Mother Nature the world over a bit of a reprieve. So during this 21 days, there's been no cars on the roads, businesses out of operation, which means less air pollution in the environment. So they have an Indian cricketer, Harbhajan Singh. Don't know who he is. I don't watch cricket. But he posted a clear picture of the visible mountain range from his rooftop, saying that he could have never imagined that such a view was possible. So I'm guessing whoever he is in his lifetime, he has never seen it. Isn't that amazing? So it can be seen from a distance once again after being hidden away by pollution for 3 decades, folks. Wow. We have really done a number on the environment and Mother Nature. Even here in the Cayman Islands, let me tell you what happened this morning with me and my little Coco. You guys know I have a dog named Coco. She's a little crazy sometimes. You know, I think to myself, Coco doesn't get out enough. And so as a result, she gets a little naughty. So I let her out this morning. That's why I was running a little bit late to start the show. I let Coco out. And she sees Naguti off in the distance. And she decides to take off. So I'm going to say that I have no volume. I think most of you guys can hear me. Let me just check. Yes, you guys can hear me. So Karen, if you could just refresh your connection, that would be good. So yeah, so Coco sees a agouti. Now, we have in Lower Valley a lot of agoutis actually. We see them all the time. But there was a development recently that went into Lower Valley, a Frank Hall development, that that was like it was a big piece of just empty property, and there was nothing back there but bush, and apparently a lot of agoutis. And as a result of them clearing out and putting in this huge development, I think a lot of agoutis probably got killed, and some of them have just, disappeared. They probably moved. Because before that development went in, every single evening, like clockwork, we would see agoutis coming through our yard, and they seem to forage in an area that's another bushy area not too far from us across the street. And they would go over there. They seem to be very familial creatures, like they stay in a family grouping. Even if you see one, there's probably more not that far off. So this morning, Coco got her eyes on one that was crossing the street to go over to this little bushy area. And of course, Coco, being the little sassy dog that she is, she starts chasing this agouti. And I'm like, Coco, come back. And so the agouti takes off running. And then all of a sudden, I see another one running into the bushes. And then like two more come. So there was like a family of four. And it's not often, like I'll catch a glimpse here of one or two. And last week, I did see four as well. So there is definitely, it seems like a family of four in my immediate area. And, they all ran in the bush away from Coco. And of course, I'm like, that Coco, I don't even know what she'd do with an agouti if she really got close to it. They'd probably scare her, to be honest. But she's in the naughty corner this morning. So there's a lot of ways in which Mother Nature is trying to replenish itself. And I think this is a good thing. On so many levels. There's a whole article in The Nation about rethinking our relationship to the natural world after COVID-19. There's an article in the Salon called Avenger Planet. And the question is COVID-19 pandemic Mother Nature's response to human transgressions? Like, the question becomes, is Mother Nature trying to say, hold on, I'm sick and tired of you humans. We're trying to take the planet back. So we're going to be talking about myths and stuff this morning. So this kind of goes into, this is one of those like conspiracy theories. Mother Nature has a big conspiracy against all humans. So, I don't think it's quite like that. However, it is one of the things to consider, that this was kind of like a tipping point in so many ways. And it was a little bit overdue, but there's so much ongoing destruction of the Amazon, massive fires, all sorts of things that have been going on, that now the greenhouse effect, we've been doing a lot of horrible things to the environment for many, many decades. And so in certain areas, it has been correcting the situation. Yesterday we were talking about, even here in the Cayman Islands, this could be what we would call an opportunity for our country to reset itself economically, perhaps, in terms of some of our labor concerns and issues. Ulufimi, I think that's how we pronounce that, is watching us from London. Thank you so much for tuning in. So Desiree, I agree, the earth is having an opportunity to heal itself. Now there is a little bit of a situation that I saw that I thought, ooh, maybe this is not what we want Mother Nature to be doing. but there are monkeys in certain parts of, I think it was India as well, that were reclaiming cities. Like they were all over the cities. I can't remember if it was India or Italy, but I kind of think it was India. And Forbes did a whole piece on the wake up call the energy sector needed was COVID-19. And so these monkeys now, because they don't have anyone feeding them in the normal ways, they're like all over the place. There's also rats. Yeah. Let me try and find this one because this is kind of nasty. I think that this one was a rat infestation. So yeah, the BBC did an article about how more rats are coming out because of this, because people are in quarantine and they can kind of retake cities and stuff like that. So hopefully that does not create another issue, especially in big cities like New York, the French Quarter, New Orleans. So the closure of restaurants and retreat by humans indoors is having an effect on the eating habits and behavior of rats, experts say. Yuck. Not long after the coronavirus closed bars and restaurants in Louisiana, for example, rats were coming out of hiding. The more rodents were being spotted comes as no surprise to renowned urban, now listen to this, rodentologists. Who knew that there was such a thing as a rodentologist? This person must have a fun job because obviously that is a person who studies rats. Yolande says that she's loving the silence. Cayman was sounding like New York with all the police siren, ambulances, and car noises. Even the chickens are sleeping in late. Okay, Jade says we have no sound on Instagram. So let me restart the Instagram feed then. Melanie wants to know what is an agouti. Ooh, Mel. I shall get you a picture and show you what they are. They are the most fascinating little things. Ironically enough, they're actually part of the rodent family. And I'm trying to find a good picture that kind of represents what they look like. So you can see this little agouti. Yeah, they're considered part of the rodent family. Caymanians actually eat them as well as many other places in the world. I should say some Caymanians. I have had them before, I'm not gonna lie. So let me show you guys, and it's spelled agouti, A-G-O-U-T-I. Yolande says it's like a rabbit. It's actually more like a rodent than a rabbit. So it comes into the rodent family. Let me show you what it looks like. Many years ago, my husband and I went to Honduras on a trip, and we had the pleasure of staying at a really lovely resort out in the country, like rainforest area. It's the Pico Bonita Lodge, I think is what it's called. Really beautiful property. And I have never seen so many agouti in my life. Like literally, they were walking around like they own the place, because apparently on that resort, they are considered a protected species. So no one is permitted to hunt them or kill them or anything like that, because I think in Honduras they eat them as well. So this is what an agouti looks like. So it's part of the rodent family. Let me read you a little bit more about them because they are very, very interesting. Sometimes they get pretty big. I mean, they look, pretty big. So the agouti is a type of fur. Oh, well, they're talking about the agouti fur. Hold on. We need to talk about the animal and not the fur. Right. So, agouti, in Spanish, it's agouti. No, I think they spell it ayuti in Spanish. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong there. Ayuti, and we say agouti. So, they're designated as a rodent. So yes, they are part of what we would consider rat family rodents. And there's the common agouti. And again, there's several rodent families. I think some get a lot bigger than this too. Native to Middle America, which would mean North and Central America, and the southern Lesser Antilles. Some species have been introduced elsewhere in the West Indies. So, of course, now that would be us. They're related to guinea pigs. Really? Interesting. I never knew that. And look quite similar. I don't think they look like a guinea pig to me, but okay. But are larger and have longer legs. The species vary considerably in color, being brown, which normally I see them as brown, reddish, dull orange, grayish, or blackish, but typically with lighter underparts. So I've only really seen the brown ones. So I've never seen a reddish one or gray or black, to be honest, but maybe I saw it and didn't know that that's what it was. Their bodies are covered with coarse hair, which is raised when alarmed. Oh, interesting. And they can weigh anywhere from 5.3 to 13.2 pounds and tend to be about 15.9 to 29.9 inches in length with short, hairless tails. Yes. The related pacas, they kind of do look like them a little bit, are placed by some authorities in the same category, the genus called agouti. So interesting. Now, I didn't know, for some reason I would have thought that they were all over the world, but it seems like they're more of a South America, Central America kind of thing. Agoutis have 5 toes on their front feet and 3 toes on their hind feet. The first toe is very small. Well, I've never gotten that close to the agouti to really see all of that. The tail is very short or non-existent and hairless. So in the wild, it says they're very shy animals and flee from humans. While in captivity, they become more trusting. I've never seen one in captivity, but like I said, in Honduras on this resort, I wouldn't say that they were trusting, but they were not fleeing from people. Like they would come out, especially they come out kind of like early mornings. So you're not going to see them normally in midday hours or anything like that. So they come out early mornings and come dusk, and they're foraging for whatever it is that they eat. I don't even know what they eat. So it says here that they're renowned in Trinidad for being very fast runners and able to keep hunting dogs occupied with chasing them for hours. Wow. So yeah, the ones in Honduras, they kind of just hung out on the property and no one bothered them and they did their thing. And then I guess, they would go back inside whenever. They're found in forested and wooded areas in Central and South America. So they like rainforests, savannas, cultivated fields, depending on the species. They conceal themselves at night in hollow tree trunks, interesting, or in burrows among roots, active and graceful in their movements. They are a little bit graceful. Their pace is either kind of a trot, that is very true, or a series of springs following one another so rapidly to look like a gallop. Yeah, they do kind of move in that fashion. Apparently, they take easily to water because they swim well. Who knew? Interesting. When feeding, agoutis sit on their hind legs and hold food between their forepaws, and they may gather in groups of up to 100 to feed. Whoa, that must be quite a thing to see. They eat fallen fruit, leaves, and roots, although sometimes they may climb trees, really, to eat green fruit. They will hoard food in small buried stores. And sometimes, if they're in a pinch, they can be seen eating eggs of ground nesting birds and even shellfish on the seashore. That's a shellfish on the seashore. That's a tongue twister. Apparently, they like sugarcane and banana plantations. And they are one of the few species, along with macaws, and you know that's a bird, that's a parrot, that can open a Brazil nut without tools. Wow, that means they're kind of strong then. Huh. They have a lot of strength and exceptionally sharp teeth. Interesting. Well, there you go. They give birth to litters of 2 to 4 young after a gestation period of 3 months. And some species have 2 litters a year in May and October, while others breed year-round. All right, folks. So if you did not know anything about agoutis, there's a little bit of a lesson this morning. Super interesting, I must say. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, the Himalaya Mountains, here we go. This is what it looks like right now. Again, people are able to see it for the first time in a really long time, 3 decades. So Mother Nature is saying thank you for the break. I appreciate it very much. We got to see how we can keep this going long term. So Orville says Cayman rabbit. Yes, I think that's what we call it. Because we don't want to admit that it's part of the rodent family because we probably wouldn't really eat it. Those of us who had it, if we thought about it as a rat. I've not had it a lot. I probably can count the number of times I've had it. And I only have eaten it from like Caymanians that I trust. Peco says it looks like a squirrel. Nope, today is not hard lockdown. It's soft. So Carol says it looks like a squirrel without a tail. Maybe a little bit. Just a little bit. Evelyn says she saw one this morning as well when she went out for a walk in her area. Always in the coconut tree feeding. Huh. Interesting. Yolanda says, Sandra updates in 3 weeks of more lockdown. How she trained Coco to hunt agouti as a good source. No. Hopefully not. Tom says that in Venice, the boats and ferries that used to fill up the canal with hundreds of tourists were now replaced by fishes and even ducks swimming in clear water. In Japan, hungry deer are taking over the streets. And in Thailand, I think that's where the monkeys are, rival gangs of monkeys are squaring off in cities. Imagine. Carol says it's time for Cayman to go green and to become eco-friendly. Yes. I think that's a wonderful idea. Okay, folks, let us jump into the conversation a little bit that we had planned. Now, yesterday we had this planned as well, and, you know, we allow the conversation to flow. So sometimes it takes over and goes in a totally different direction, and that's fine. I don't have any issues with going with the flow. That's part of life, eh? By the way, I forgot to read the daily Om for today, which is a positive message. So let me just pull that up. This one is entitled Letting Life Unfold. This sounds interesting. Oh, yes. So let us just see here what we've got. Okay. So this one says, and again, our daily Om is just a positive message of the day that hopefully allows us to reflect on things in our lives a little bit deeper. This one says that present time can be hard, but life unfolds as it will, and the universal wait as we make our way into the unknown. So Instagram says that we're having an issue with sound again. Don't know what's going on with Instagram today. I may just have to pull up Instagram on the phone because it looks like there's a little bit of an issue there. So let me try it once more. And then if not, IG folks, we can definitely do the phone. It's like I see what's happening on Instagram. The mic settings keep changing, and I don't particularly know why that would be the case. But let's try it once more. And then if not, we've got our trusty iPhone that we can resort to. All right, so letting life unfold. It says here that our lives are guided by natural rhythms that are particular to each of us and cannot be altered by force of will alone. Life itself is a journey made up of processes and events that manifest before us only to be swept away when time marches on. Whether we envision ourselves creating a career, building a family, or developing the self, we instinctively know when the time has come for us to realize our dreams, because all of that is involved. Oh, hold on. The time has come for us to realize our dreams because all that is involved comes together harmoniously. When the time is right, we cannot grow if we're not fully present in the evolutionary experience. I think I missed it. No, that's not the right sentence. It says, when the time is right, the passage of destiny cannot be blocked. Yet, as desperate as we are to touch these beautiful futures we have imagined, we cannot grow if we are not fully present in the evolutionary experience. The present can be challenging, uncomfortable, and tedious, but life unfolds as it will, and the universe will wait patiently as we make our way into the unknown. The fate that awaits us is not dependent on our pace, which was preordained before we ever appeared in human guise. Therefore, there is no reason to rush through life to search those pinnacles of development associated with the paths we have chosen. Enjoying and fully experiencing the journey of life is as important as achieving goals and reaching milestones. There are lessons we can learn during these moments that seem immaterial or insignificant that we cannot learn at any other time. Appreciating these takes patience, however, and because human beings tend to focus on the fulfillment of expectations rather than the simple joy of being. Like many people, you've no doubt longed for a device that would give you the power to fast forward through certain periods of your existence, like right now. Yet haste is, by its very nature, vastly more stressful than serene fortitude. When you feel yourself growing impatient because the pace of your development is deceptively slow, remember that everything will occur in your life will occur in its own time. Quelling your urge to rush will enable you to witness yourself learning, changing, and becoming stronger. There is so much to see and do in between the events and processes that we define definitive. If you're patient enough to take pleasure in your existence's unfolding, the journey from one pinnacle to the next will seem to take no time at all. And you know what this is? This is something that I shared with you guys before, and I'm going to say it again. You are right where you're supposed to be. That's exactly what all of that, if I had to summarize that, is saying. You are right where you're supposed to be. That's life's journey. Holly says, so glad for the agouti lesson. They're definitely unique little animals. I was always curious about them. Thank you. You're welcome, Holly. And yeah, I mean, like I said, we do eat them here in the Cayman Islands. So that is interesting. I must say that since I've been in closer contact with them, good morning, Miriam. Good morning, John, Corrine. I have not been inclined to think of them as food anymore, because you see them interacting and, you know, just being with their families and that sort of thing. So Juan has a very long message in Spanish. Oh my gosh, Juan. I think you're really trying to force me here to learn some Spanish. I think I might just get someone to translate this one for me. John, I know you have some knowledge of Spanish for sure. Can you help me out here? This one is a lot more than my vocabulary, I am sure of that. Although I know quite a few words in here. Inclinemos nuestras cabezas. So something about what's in her head and what's in her heart. Desde lo más profundo del corazón. So it's like, and oh my gosh, the profound, like what's more profound in our hearts. Demos gracias. Okay, we're gonna go to Google Translate on this one. We're gonna cheat a little bit, although I do demos gracias a médicos. So like we're gonna show gratitude or thanks to the physicians, enfermeras y enfermeros, y a todos el personal de la salud. So all of the nurses and doctors, like nurses, male and female nurses, and all of the personnel de la salud, all of the personnel, like health personnel, medical professionals, we would say. También a esas personas del comercio y servicios, oh gosh, indispensables que cada día nos dan el privilege. I know it's privilege, but how do you pronounce it in Spanish? Privilegio. Is that how you say it? Legio. Privilegio de estar en casa mientras ellos arriesgan sus vidas. So that bit basically is like que cada día. So like like cada dia is like every day. We have the privilege of staying at home or being at home mientras ellos. So it's like they are, I think, arriscan sus vidas is probably risking their lives or something like that. También is also, quiero dar mi respaldo a los dirigentes, something people, del gobierno. Okay, so that's government. So let me see now. So also, I would like to dar is to give my respaldo, my support a los, so like the government people, the leaders of government, dirigentes del gobierno. Yeah. Okay, so support que han enfrentado esta crisis con valentia y dignidad. So that they have handled this crisis with valencia is courage and dignity. Ejemplo is example de un país pequeño que ha enfrentado al COVID-19 con moral con moral y prestigio. So I guess it's an example of a country, a small country, pequeño, that has enfrentado. ¿Qué es enfrentado? Yo no sé. Probably faced, like enfrentado. It almost seems like it's in front or something. Yeah, I think that could make sense. So with morale and prestigio, that's like morale and prestige, maybe. I'm not sure of the exact translation of that one. Okay, John is going to give a much better explanation here. He says, let's bow our heads and from the bottom of our hearts, let's give thanks to doctors and nurses and every person that works in health. Isn't that so much better than my butchered translation? Thank you, John. I swear you guys really want me to speak. So is it still no sound on Instagram? Oh, man. Okay, so I think we're going to have to... Instagram people are like, listen, you guys have left us in the cold today. So let us just switch to the iPhone for Instagram. Because I do not think that... Okay. So... let me pull up Instagram on the phone. Yeah, sorry guys. The feed today is just not going to behave. So we're gonna just go live from the phone. I can't see the comments as well when it's on the phone, but hey, at least they can hear me. So John continues to help with the translation. Also the people from the indispensable services that each day they give us opportunity to be home when they risk their lives. Thank you so much. Jade, we have definitely switched the feed for Instagram so that people can now hear us. My apologies to Instagram folks. I don't know what was going on with that this morning. We'll see if we can fix it for later. Anna, we're on a soft curfew. Maybe it's a good idea for those of you who actually missed the recap last night as well to just go over a few little things here in a minute. Sorry, Jade, you should be back now on Instagram. We need justice on Instagram. I know what you mean. You know what is weird though, Jade? If you have a Facebook account, why do you prefer Instagram? I'm kind of curious as to why that is. Oh, and before I forget, Juan, thank you so much for that message. It took me a while to figure it out. Juan Luis, muchas gracias, señor. So Jade, we should now be up on Instagram. Like I said, I don't know what was going on from the computer, but we just shut it off. I want to give back to the government that are facing the crises with courage as an example of, yes, facing the COVID-19. Okay, I think we got most of it. All right, IG folks, you should be hearing me now because we're streaming directly from the phone. So if you missed it yesterday, there were no new cases reported because they actually didn't have any test results in. They were working on confirming or validating the test kits. And I don't know exactly what that process involves, but there is a process involved in that apparently. So they were doing the test kits that we've received from South Korea. Now, someone sent me an article, interestingly enough, that test kits from South Korea were not accepted by, what country was this? The heads of government of the Central American Integration System. So this is a regional body. And they met and they had some issues with the test kits because, let me try to get this right because I think this is probably why there's some validation involved. So, oops, I've just managed to close that. Let me just reopen it. So it says here, right. So these test kits came in and a release from CICA, which is a Central American Integration System, says that they were benefiting from 180,000 test kits from the Republic of South Korea, which is one of the region's strategic partners. But according to a press release, all CICA countries accepted the donation with the exception of Belize. Okay, so I did not know about the Central American Integration System before, but Belize is part of it. As Director of Health Services, Dr. Marvin Manzanero explained today that Belize, due to limited equipment, is using and trained with a specific standard of test kits, which the Korean kits did not meet. So I think this is just an incompatibility issue. This isn't necessarily that there's anything wrong with the test kits, okay? Understand that this is a quote from him, understand that we undertook training for health staff using a particular platform, a particular template from February through PAHO, and we've gotten test kits from that particular platform. That particular template from PAHO, which of course you know is the Pan American Health Organization, and we have said to people who are willing to donate, people who are willing to pay for testing kits, that this was what we were using, because you understand that your lab at blah, blah, blah perhaps doesn't have the same staff and equipment that other labs and bigger countries have. So it's just that, you know, they don't have the same testing equipment and they have been trained in the same way, basically. So test kits, they've asked for 40 test kits, which covers 4,000 individual tests through their Rotary, IDB, and Belize Medical Associates, but they were not able to get those. So it looks like in Belize, they're having an issue even getting the test kits that they need. So again, we've heard this before. So the test kits, it comes in like different components. So it doesn't come as like one thing quite yet. So there's other materials needed, such as tubes, swabs, and certain enzymes. And the region is running low on the second of these, which are the swabs. And we did hear actually Dr. Lee mention that, I think it was last week. So basically, because they have to work with what their lab has currently, and they only do a specific test, they're not able to accept the donation from Belize. So that's interesting. This is something that has even confused me about how do we test for coronavirus, and the fact that, you can even get it or reinfect yourself as well. So the NHS, this is in the UK, has been trying to get this rapid test out whereby you can even do like testing at home, because I think what they do is they will test for, it's called an antibody test, and they're thinking that that test may be ready by the end of April. So we'll see how that goes. We'll keep an eye on that. So it says that without an antibody test, experts believe that it would be hard for the government to meet its 100,000 a day target of testing patients. So there's several methods of testing, right? So there's the antibody one, and then there's this other method that they're currently using. So the one that they're pushing for is the antibody test. So it would be a stretch. So they're trying to target 100,000 people a day for testing. That's crazy. The UK currently does about 14,000 swab tests a day to confirm whether or not patients currently have COVID-19, diagnostic tests that take time and need to be processed in laboratories. So I think now this is the difference, right? So that seems to be the test that most people are using, where they take a swab, it has to be done in the laboratory, and it can take several days to get results. The difference, it seems, with the antibody tests, it's called a rapid, like a rapid antibody test, is that you would prick your finger, just like how you check for diabetes, and that would allow you to self-test pretty much. It's very, very quick. So I think it's almost done in real time. So the UK has ordered, they've bought some 3.5 million of them, and now they've ordered another 17.5 million. So they're trying to get as many of these as possible. And they're trying to get pharmaceutical companies on board. So the antibody tests can identify who has recovered. So this is interesting because, obviously if someone is asymptomatic, the chances of them even getting tested right now is probably not that great. Although here in Cayman, we have adopted a policy that we may start to do additional testing, even on people who do not meet the strict criteria of having to have symptoms. Because there was a 3-step criteria, as you guys will recall, that we had mentioned before. So the difference with the antibody test, I think the swab test, that tells you if you've got it right now, where the antibody test can identify even someone who previously had it and recovered. So that would certainly change the figures of infection. And right now we've got 1.6 million cases around the world estimated. Almost 100,000 deaths, so it's at 97,000 and a bit. Over 300,000 persons have recovered, and 1.1 million cases remain unresolved. United States has the bulk of that with almost 500,000 overall cases. So 467 and change. They have way more than anybody else. Spain had 157 total. Italy had 144 total. Germany 119. China keeps moving down the list of claiming that they only had 83,000 total, which we do not believe. And I'm going to show you guys a video a little bit later on about that. In terms of deaths, the US has now moved in second place, surpassing Spain. Spain has over 15,000. The US has almost, not quite, about 200 shy of 1,000 more than Spain. And they still are about less than 2,000 separates them and Italy. And as you know, Italy's in the lead with 18,349 dead so far. So the antibody test can identify who has recovered from the virus and gained some immunity, but you can apparently be infected again. So it's not like you have complete immunity either. So could safely return to work. They are particularly important for doctors, nurses, and carers. And the larger stage of the epidemic will allow other key workers, such as teachers, to resume their jobs. Okay. And Germany is one of the countries that has done well in terms of testing a large portion of their population. And of course, you guys will remember that Germany was really upset with the US for stealing some of their medical supplies on Friday of last week. So Germany's death rate is considered relatively low. There's a shortage of blood supplies all over the world. Interesting. So this is a very interesting story. I'm going to share this in the comment section on Facebook, and I think it'll share on YouTube as well. Have a read of this if you're a little bit more interested in the logistics of where we're going with testing and stuff like that, because I think this is a super interesting article. John is saying that we're praying for no more cases tomorrow. Let's hope not. Odette is joining the program. Happy Good Friday. Good morning. Juanita is eating bun and cheese and listening to the Cold Hard Truth with Sandy. Girl, you know, I should have had my bun and cheese. I've got bun and cheese, but I should have had my plate right here this morning, enjoying that with a nice glass of juice. John wants to talk about Good Friday. What if we talk about how people celebrate it in different parts of the world? We can do that. In fact, we're going to have a musical presentation, hopefully live, from a local artist. I don't want to give away any more than that right now. A little bit later on this afternoon, I'm going to firm up the time with that individual because I don't have an exact fix on the time as yet. So as soon as I have the time, I will post it. So stay tuned to the page. I will definitely post it on the page for everyone to see. So that should be interesting. Good Friday. It is indeed Good Friday. If you guys want to talk about Good Friday, we can put off our talking about conspiracy theories, which, by the way, I've done so much work. This is just one article that did a summary of the coronavirus conspiracy theories and myths debunked. And this was as of April the 6th. So in the last 4 days, there's probably a whole bunch of others that have come forward. This document is like 20-something pages because you people will not stop with the conspiracy theories. So there is so much in here to discuss, from the 5G rumor to the ibuprofen is bad for coronavirus, to what are some of the other ones that have been extremely popular? So if you guys want to do these, we can do these, because I think it's important for us to be on the mindset of, okay, the virus is a biological weapon. A lot of people want to believe that. So we're going to talk about that one. So we have quite a few here. Vitamin C, bleach, and supplements can cure it. There's a lot of information, and I have been reading up to make sure that I know what I'm talking about when I bring you guys the cold hard truth. So we can do that. We can have that conversation now. We can have it later because, like I said, so John has changed his mind. He says, no, go ahead with the conspiracy theories, please. Alric says the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation dedicates additional funding to the novel coronavirus response. The foundation will provide up to $100 million to improve detection, isolation, and treatment efforts, protect at-risk populations in Africa and South Asia, and accelerate the development of the vaccine, drugs, and diagnosis. Thank you so much. And that was announced by the Gates Foundation. They do a lot of work, actually. Let's focus. We have about an hour left of the show, so let us do the conspiracy theories. I think a lot of these are in heavy circulation. There is one thing that I saw. Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember where that was now. Give me 1 second. It was talking about something that Alric just said. Oh, this is probably a totally different conversation. But apparently in the States, African Americans, aka people of color, are being the hardest hit by coronavirus in the US. There's probably a couple good reasons for that. And I wanted to share just the audio note with you guys. So basically, the coronavirus is disproportionately killing more African Americans in the US than anybody else. So this is data that is emerging out of the coronavirus pandemic in the US. Of course, you know, that's going to lead to another rumor in the African American community that somebody created this just to kill them, which I doubt the Chinese did that half around the world because it's killing everybody. But racial minorities are disproportionately affected by health crises such as this one. So it's not just this one, but obviously this is the big one that we're in the middle of right now. So earlier in the week, in Chicago, Illinois, they were the first ones to release data based on racial background or racial breakdown of the city's 6,100 cases. More than half were African American, despite the fact that only accounts for 30% of the city's 2.7 million residents. So you get that 30% of the population is now making up 50% of the people who are actually infected, and that's considered quite high. And 7 in 10 African Americans, or people who died from COVID-19 in the city, were African Americans. That is a lot. 7 in 10. That is, whoa. John says, when the comments are long, we can only see your beautiful eyes. Yes, we are aware of that. And what I would say, by the way, this is just a little bit of Atlas. I don't think Wendy's is open today. I think most places are closed, but we can certainly confirm. This is a little bit of what we call Facebook etiquette. The shorter your comments, the better. Even if that means that you have to write multiple comments to get your point across. It's like when you write a Facebook post, the longer you make it, the less likely people are to read it. And unfortunately, the same holds true for your comments as well. So I would say keep it short. Use what we call the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. I'm not calling you stupid, but that's what the KISS principle stands for. Tamara says, I asked you that question from the other day. Your thoughts on it. Happy you're sharing your thoughts. The African-American death rate I'm talking about. Yes. So Tony says that all drive-thrus are closed, Atlas. So unfortunately, speaking of which, Atlas, don't forget I have a gift certificate for you. I think you wanted to do Popeyes or Burger King. Doesn't matter. So yeah, keep it shorter. Alex says that this was mentioned in a Trump press conference as well. His advisor said more data will follow. So Atlas, you look like you're looking for some food, son. So yeah, 7 in 10 patients who died from COVID-19, and this data was one of the first reports that is coming out of Chicago, Illinois, which Chicago does have pockets of a lot of poverty, especially in the African American community. And so this really raises, I think, a lot of questions that are super interesting, for sure. So I just noticed I need to actually adjust this camera a little bit so you guys can see all my Keyman flags represented in the background. There we go. Yeah, so this is not good news for African Americans, in that basically 70% who get it in at least Illinois will end up dying from it. And there's a lot of reasons why that disparity exists. Similar stats are being found elsewhere in the US, and this is why, collecting statistical information, everything that you can about your patients is important. And I don't know how much of this we're actually doing in the Cayman Islands, because we know that they don't want to share it with us. So they're hesitant to say male, female, what district, the age. But nonetheless, hopefully they're maintaining a good database here in Cayman of who these people are in terms of just every single bit of information. Because this helps countries understand how pandemics impact different segments of the population and the community specifically. And that can be useful in developing healthcare policies, knowing that once we're out of crisis mode, that we need to focus on educating the elderly, outreach programs for the elderly, all of these types of things. Like in crisis mode, we're doing the most that we can do to reach the most people with the message, like stay home and this and that. And those are, emergency situations. But in non-crisis mode, and this is why, again, I say it's always important to have leaders that you're confident in their leadership ability, because during those non-crisis periods, that's when they need to be stepping up to the plate and continuing these things, continually educating people. Education isn't something that happens in a vacuum. And it's certainly not something that you do once and then you're like, okay, everybody knows, and we forget about it. And 5 years later, you have another epidemic outbreak, and people are like, I don't remember what happened last week, much less 5 years ago. So I think it's important for us to, continue along the line of always trying to educate people. So it says here that similar statistics were found elsewhere in the US, including Louisiana. My sister-in-law, she's actually a nurse. She's an emergency, like an ICU nurse working in Louisiana. So she got a contract there. They're from Jamaica, obviously, as you guys know. But she actually got a contract, and she's been there for, I want to say, at least a year now. So before this epidemic broke out, she was in Louisiana, and Louisiana is one of the harder hit areas in the US as well. So it says 32% of the population is African Americans. That group accounted for, again, 70% of COVID-19 deaths. So 70% in Chicago, 70% in Louisiana, Michigan. 40% of those who died were African Americans, even though the group accounts for only 13% of the population. Now, I'm no mathematician, but I know 13% of your population then accounting for 40% of something, whether it's crime, COVID-19 deaths, is extremely high. So there are cities in the US that are predominantly Black cities, such as Detroit. We do know that, and New Orleans. And of course, they're the areas that are being hardest hit by this. In New York, the epicenter for the Americans of the pandemic, the coronavirus is killing African Americans and Hispanics at twice the rate of white people, Caucasians. It says white people in this article, but you know what I mean. According to preliminary state data, and again, data information is very, very, very valuable. The alarming trend follows a long history of racism and inequality that have disproportionately affected African Americans. They tend to suffer from, and this is where now it's going to start to make sense as to why this is, because remember, you're more likely to die from COVID-19 disease. So you have the coronavirus that leads to the COVID-19 disease. And I know sometimes we interchange the words, but the coronavirus is actually the coronavirus. COVID-19 is the disease that you get from the coronavirus. And so what you end up dying from are complications from COVID-19. Just thought I'd throw out the distinction out there. So yes, because this disease relies heavily on people who it will go after people who are ill first. I mean, it'll kill anybody. Let's be sure about that. However, if you have underlying conditions, you're definitely more at risk than someone who doesn't. But we have seen it now killing perfectly healthy young people with no underlying conditions, fit as a fiddle, etc. But African Americans suffer from high rates of obesity, diabetes, asthma, and again, it's a lot of these underlying health conditions that put anyone with those health conditions at higher risk. But if you have a disproportionate number of people in the Black community actually suffering from these types of underlying health conditions, that could in part explain what's going on. There's also, of course, a lack of economic opportunity within a lot of the Black and Hispanic community. You're more likely to be poor, basically, if you're Black in America or if you're Hispanic in America, and that impacts your ability to access adequate health care. So Brian Bragg, the Vice President of Behavioral Health and Community Integration at Access Community Health Network, claims that they're working hard to address these historical disparities. Yeah, they've been there for a long time, a really long time. There's been a lot of disparities in America based on color. And it's hard to get over that. There was a movie that I watched recently called The Banker. Have you guys seen this movie? It's about several African-American men who started buying banks. They had a white partner that he was the front man for the business, and he would go out there and, you know, they actually taught him what to say and how to put forward the numbers and get financing and whatever. But they were acquiring all of these banks. And I mean, you guys, this is such an amazing movie. Like, everybody should watch it. But the most interesting thing about it, this was like in the, I want to say 30s and 40s, really not that long ago when you think about it. And it was talking about, like, one of the things they did with their banks, which of course started to raise a lot of eyebrows, is they were trying to support Black businesses, and they would give loans to, you know, poor Black communities to help them build up their businesses and so on. And of course, in the banking world, that was unheard of at the time. And that raised a lot of red flags. And as a result of that, the federal government, through the banking, whatever the banking body is called, ended up going after them. And they spent, because of something their white partner did, against their advice, the two Black partners ended up spending like 3 years in jail or whatever. But their whole case and the issues that it brought forward actually led to reform in housing, where, you know, it then became illegal for people to discriminate in the US based on the color of your skin. And this was, again, like in the 60s, I think, when that finally happened. So wasn't that long ago before there was like a Fair Housing Act that said you cannot discriminate against someone based on their color. Well, now we know, of course, what that means is that you can't obviously discriminate against people based on their color, but there are people who get very creative about how to do that. So if you fill out an application for an apartment or a house, a mortgage, or whatever in the US, there are ways that they can obviously still discriminate against you that are not blatant discrimination. Like before the law, they could just tell you, you're a black person, we don't want you in our neighborhood. We're not going to sell this to you because you're a black person. And so you can't quite do it like that anymore, but we do know how racism around the world works, but in particular in the US. And I was actually saying to my friend, like I watched it with my friend Kevin, and we were having a discussion about it. And he said to me, like, he can't believe that so much of this stuff happened, and it wasn't that long ago. And I said, Kevin, when I was in university at USF in the 90s, I took a course that was a civil rights course, and it talked about like what happened in the 50s and 60s. It actually started from like the 30s, but it covered that period of time of the civil rights movement. And what struck me as very, very interesting, because I think here in Cayman, we have a very different understanding of race relations. We think that we didn't even have slavery in the Cayman Islands. A lot of us are very disconnected from our color, as basically, and our ancestors were slaves. So we are the product of slavery. And a lot of us don't want to admit that. I mean, I see Caymanians, sorry, I'm taking my vitamins, in Cayman who focus on their European heritage. Mind you, they're my color, okay? And when you talk about, oh, like, who are your family to? They're like, oh, well, my great, 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 great grandfather, removed 5 times and blah, 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 came from Ireland, or he was an Irish man. And I'm like, girlfriend, look at you. You're 80% black, maybe a 5% white. You need to go do a DNA.com test, DNA ancestry or whatever. So it's like we want to over focus on the Caucasian part of our ancestry lineage, despite when you look at you, you know what they used to say is 1 ounce of African blood, you were automatically, and this is the test that they used to use in America, you were automatically African, no matter even what you looked like. Like if they had DNA tests back in the day, you would really be screwed. So Shan says, in this day and age, everybody's mixed up. Yeah, but you can't want to claim that part of your heritage and not accept the African part, right? So this is this disparity that we live with, even here in the Cayman Islands. But what I was saying to Kevin is the 60s and 50s are not that long ago. You have people who are obviously still alive that were born before the 50s or 60s and lived through all of that in America. So when you hear African Americans talking about the injustices that they face even today, and these historical disparities in health and opportunities, job and employment opportunities, even educational opportunities, like just across the board. A lot of people want to dismiss it. A lot of people are like, oh, those people just need to stop complaining. They're always complaining about something, blah, blah, blah. And it's like those people, African Americans, that's not even history. That's like recent history. They have just lived that type of injustice. So, it's so interesting that we are so much more in our minds removed from it because we think that it doesn't impact us. But I can see how people can still harbor a lot of feelings in their hearts about this because they would have had parents and grandparents and perhaps even themselves that would have been living through the 50s and 60s and prior to that and experienced a lot of this. And it's kind of sad that people, have those experiences. And a lot of it hasn't changed. You're more likely to be incarcerated if you're an African American living in the States. There's just so much stuff that the African American community is directly impacted by. During the AIDS epidemic of the 1980s and the crack epidemic of the 1990s, the African American community again had these humongous disparities of the number of infected people. And that is because a lot of the fracturing of the society and the healthcare systems, the educational systems, and all of those things. And so you have to recognize in a real way how poverty, high unemployment rates, not having access to equal healthcare systems for African Americans and Hispanics really have a disproportionate, you know, skewing of the numbers when it comes to even something like COVID-19. Yeah, so the deck is stacked against minorities in America and probably all over the world when you think about it. But definitely it's extremely obvious in America. So they're keeping an eye on it there. I mean, obviously they are looking at it. The New York governor talked about it in a press briefing on Wednesday, about the disparities in New York. He says that it's not as bad as the disparities we see in other places across the country, but there still are apparent disparities. So I don't know how bad he wants it to be, because 70% is pretty bad. President Trump looks like he can't even deny it himself. He said that the racial data related to coronavirus cases and deaths, even the preliminary numbers, he says, is a tremendous, that's one of his favorite words, challenge. So, and it's hard when you are knee deep in crisis mode like this to have to deal with these issues. Misha, good morning. She said, beautiful message this daily Om. Atlas is having a good laugh at the food comment. When the time is right, the passage of destiny cannot be blocked. That gave me the chills, said Misha. John is encouraging Atlas to go in the kitchen and cook. Maybe Atlas just doesn't cook. I don't know. Sandy, I would love if you could look into upgrading where people can call in. Tamara, you can call in. 324-1612. Call us right now on WhatsApp. We have that as our WhatsApp number. And in fact, let me just bring up our little branding thing here, because you guys will remember. There it is. Join the conversation. 324-1612. But of course, I'm having to use my phone today to live stream to Instagram. But it would put the Instagram people on hold. But you can call in. I don't know. We kind of started out the show, obviously, just as a Facebook show. So I think a lot of people are in the mode to just type messages. And most people just don't call in. But Tamara, I would love to have your voice. Do call us. John says, I wish I could invite people over without getting a fine. I have yuca cake, bread pudding, and just putting some mac and cheese in the oven. What? John, the party is at your house after COVID-19. I have not had yuca cake before. That's just regular cassava cake, but you're calling it yuca cake. Is that what that is? Bread pudding. Sounds interesting. And some mac and cheese. Very good. You know, I'm a foodie. Misha, once this is over, we are so in that kitchen, girl. I make a killer mac and cheese. I am not patting myself on the back. However, people know me for my mac and cheese. It is very good. Atlas says, John, you're killing him here. Bread pudding is my favorite dessert too. Oh my gosh, Atlas. Okay, we totally, listen. After COVID-19, we need to have a jam session at somebody's house that has a big enough kitchen where we can have a little cook down, throw some food together. Because Atlas, if you love bread pudding, not bread pudding, but I have a tres leche. That's, tres leche is like 3 milks. I actually put like 4 or 5 milks in mine. But I have a tres leche. It's not a bread pudding, but it's it is a bread. What's the other one that we called? Oh my God. I just had it in the tip of my tongue and now I've forgotten. It's a tres leche. Not bread pudding, but... Oh, hold on. I cannot believe I cannot think of this right now. Tres leche. Oh, yes, it is a bread pudding. Yeah, that's my recipe. I was looking at my recipe, folks. Yes, it's a tres leche bread pudding. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes, there it is. It is to die for. It has the oh gosh, what is the bottom of again? So once you bake it, you have to flip it over because it's like kind of a reverse cake. But let me give you guys the basics of it. And if you saw this picture, I've posted sometimes when I make it on Facebook. It is divine. So, the dulce de leche, you put that on the bottom so that when you flip it, that becomes the top of the bread pudding. It is so amazing. And you just put that with a little bit of vanilla ice cream and you are set for dessert. So Atlas, you have to remind me, since bread pudding is your favorite, one day, normally I make it for like my Christmas dinners and, I will make you my tres leche bread pudding. Put it on the list. Good morning, Rose. Hi, Tamara. What they are also saying is that most of the jobs like bus drivers, food stores, etc., low income jobs, Black are most likely in these positions. So this increases their vulnerability, to be infected. So they're more like the frontline staff and not corporate executive America that can say, okay, I can work from home kind of thing. I get it. I get it. So John is all in it for the jingles. I'm telling you, check back later. We're going to have that all set up. John says black is beautiful. I agree. Shali, good morning. Darlene is typing in caps this morning. Whoa, waking us all up. Darlene says, Sandra, what will be done if persons that are drug users and mentally disabled contact COVID-19 because most of these people always will go on the streets looking for drugs? Will these people be kept in a facility? Here in the Cayman Islands, I'm assuming that question is for. I don't know how closely that community is being monitored, and that's a very good question, actually. So, we can ask Dr. Lee that question. And I guess that is why there's certainly a desire to keep those numbers to a low. Sorry. Instagram people, we'll be right back. Somebody wants to call in. I'm sorry. So Miss Miriam said she wants to call. Did she call and got no answer? I don't see a missed call on that number though. Are you sure? 324-1612? But it's a WhatsApp number, so you have to call through WhatsApp. But call us. Yes. If you want to call, give us a call. I have Miss Marion's number, but I don't know if I have you on this phone. I think I've got you on the other phone. Oh, there you are. I do have you. Okay, let's give her a call since she wants to join the conversation. Marshall says if you put 5 milks in it, it's no longer tres leche.
Hello?
Hello, this is the Cold Hard Truth calling you.
Good morning. I called earlier, no answer.
Oh, you have to call.
To say
call through
Happy
WhatsApp.
Easter.
Oh, thank you so much.
Happy Easter. Enjoy the day. Goodbye. Talk to you later.
Okay, darling. Thank you.
Bye. Okay.
Okay, so just remember, I'm going to try to. I know the Instagram people are pissed off. They're like, oh, now you can take calls and we can't even get in on the calls. Just remember that you have to call through WhatsApp. That's the thing with that number. Because actually, I'm going to try to get Instagram back on the PC because it's going to be easier for them to hear calls and stuff. So actually, if you call through to that number directly, you will not get us because that number is a WhatsApp only number. So that's why you can message on WhatsApp or you can call on WhatsApp. We actually had another method that we had tried out before, which is kind of similar to Zoom, like a Zoom call. But you guys do know, if you want to come, sorry, if you want to come in the show, like on the screen, you can join me that way too. You might not have your morning face ready yet, but Tamara says, I'm in for after COVID-19 party. People are going to run from captivity like wild animals. Well, let's not overdo it though, because we saw how incredibly helpful COVID-19 has been to Mother Nature and the environment. So let us try to keep some semblance of that going and maybe ease back into it. But I think a COVID-19 get together is going to be in order for sure. So Misha says maybe we should have a Mall Road party by the beach when this is all over. Set up some barbecue grills and just bring in all your meat, marinations, and slap it on the grill. Yummy. Not a bad idea. We got to plan the logistics of it, because again, we don't want to overdo it, but we can celebrate in smaller groupings, I'm sure. I like that idea. I love that. That's awesome. Anybody wants to join in on the conversation this morning? You can WhatsApp me and I can certainly send you the link to do that. Let me see here. Alaric, would you like to join in? Misha? Misha's always got her game face ready. I know it. I'm going to send Misha an invite. Let's see if Misha wants to join me. Misha, there's the link on WhatsApp. Alaric, I'm sending you the link. Click on that. Jump into the conversation. Let's test out this feature. Remember, I haven't used it with this one yet, so I want to see what you guys are doing. Noelle sent me a message on WhatsApp. Says that you can take a break today. It is Good Friday. Aw, I know, but you people are here for it. Yes, John. Thank you for the reminder, darling. COVID-19's conspiracy theories, all gazillion pages of this. So let's see if we can get this going. All right. So as we know, the backdrop is obviously COVID-19 is the biggest story in the world right now, and we do mean the entire world. And with people, you know, facing radical changes, which we've talked about over the time. And so, of course, in situations like this, people are more likely to engage in rumors, fake news, circulating stuff over the internet. And in fact, it's gotten so bad that there was an article about WhatsApp putting things in place to try to control the spreading of fake news. So they're limiting like how many people can you can forward stuff to, which they've always done that anyway. So I don't know if that's really a COVID-19 thing, but they claim that they're putting additional measures in place for fake news. Facebook is also starting to block, and even YouTube is starting to block all of these conspiracy videos about especially the 5G thing. They're starting to block that. You know, just like Facebook has taken on, and this is a long-term thing, all of the anti-vaccination groups that are putting out fake information like, oh, you don't have to vaccinate your kids. Instead, you can do this, that, and whatever. And so Facebook has recognized the danger because there have been actual children that have died because of mothers in this group who think that they're experts on curing and treating different things, and they're putting these solutions out there for other mothers to follow, and they're very, very dangerous. So it's one thing to believe in a conspiracy theory that is just stupid and, you know, whatever, but when you start engaging in behavior that actually impacts the lives of everyone else, then you've got a problem. So Instagram people, I'm sorry. I had to log you off of the phone because someone wanted to call in WhatsApp. So this is one of the issues with doing it on the phone. And I thank you for coming back. I'm trying it again from the PC. I logged out and back in. So hopefully you guys can hear us, because if you want to join the conversation, even if you want to come in on the video feed, which people will see you on, you can just WhatsApp 324-1612 or call us on 324-1612. We will take your calls. So, Tamara, I'm expecting a phone call from you, girl. You're the one that keeps talking about this phone thing, so you need to be calling me right now. I'm kidding. All right, so we're going to talk about some of the conspiracy theories. So the biggest one, and I can't tell you the number of people that have sent this to me that are actually like so invested in this, is this whole 5G theory. So there have been celebrities, and when celebrities start to get into the mix, listen, most celebrities don't have one lick of sense. Like, they just jump on something, and the unfortunate part of it is when they have millions of followers, that is a problem, because people are more likely to believe them despite them having no credentials. Most of them have no education, no nothing, to put them in a better position to believe or to be experts on anything. And so that is a very dangerous situation. So the 5G conspiracy theory, there have been tons of videos circulating all over the world. It has even made people go and set fire to 5G antennas, which is crazy. So here's what we know. I mean, they're claiming that the 5G, which is going to replace 4G. Oh, hold on. We've got a call coming in. Good morning and welcome to the Cold Hard Truth.
Good morning, Miss Sandy. This is Tamara.
Hi, Tamara. Wagwan.
Wagwan.
Big up yourself, girl.
Yes.
Happy Good Friday.
Happy good morning. Happy Good Friday. I'm in Fort Lauderdale cooking some Dr. Fish and dumpling and kind of stuff.
Okay, so you're in Fort Lauderdale. Nice.
Yes, I am.
What's the mood like in Fort Lauderdale?
It's mild, to be honest. Everybody is relaxed. I'm not seeing anything dramatic going on.
Okay.
You just have to abide by the lockdown rules that is in place, but other than that, everybody is okay.
So,
COVID-19, the rise, everything and what is going on. And that's my grandson making a lot of noise.
okay. So do you guys have a curfew in Fort Lauderdale as well?
Yes, we do, but it is not intense, to be honest. It's
Okay.
not really intense like how Cayman Islands government, and I must applaud the government of the Cayman Islands, been doing, it is awesome.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, we have a curfew, but it's not as intense as what is, and I wish it was intense because right now the statistics for good.
Wow. So what is open in Fort Lauderdale? Or like, can I go to the mall if I was in Fort Lauderdale?
No mall.
Okay.
Just like the pharmacy,
Okay.
food store, gas stations. You can get your car fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that what it people are still congregating in their house, keeping parties and all of that, which the government cannot do anything much about because people have their private homes. They lock their doors and they do all kind of stuff. So you just have to be extremely careful as to who come into your house or who you go around.
Okay. All
like
right.
yesterday I went to the food store and to get some stuff. So last night I wake up in the middle of the night and I feel my throat start itching. I'm like, oh my God.
Yes.
So I tell you how fast I fly up the bed and watching ginger and garlic. I'm like, okay, COVID, I will.
So any little throat itch now, you're like, oh God, is it COVID-19?
I'm paranoid. My friend yesterday, she went to visit a friend and she sneezed in her friend's house, and oh my gosh, she took like what? So, I think that people all paranoid.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yes. So you
Very
guys,
interesting.
you
Thank
came
you.
and tune in every day, and you're doing an awesome job. You keep us going because
Thank you.
I've been living in Cayman Islands for 10 years, and this is what keeps me connected.
Thank you so much.
So really appreciate your program.
Okay, thank you so much, Tamara, and have a good Easter weekend.
You too.
All right, darling. Bye-bye. All right, folks. So again, you can join the conversation 324-1612 via WhatsApp. That's Tamara from Fort Lauderdale. Tuning into the Cold Hard Truth. She's a regular. I always see her tuned in and commenting. Thank you so much, Tamara. And that's just how easy it was. I think everybody could hear her. I could hear her loud and clear. She said she's cooking some fish and getting ready. Fort Lauderdale doesn't have the stringent curfews that we have in place. She said she kind of wishes that they did because their cases are starting to increase. But of course, Florida has a comprehensive list online of all of the different counties within Florida that have had it. So you can certainly go and check that out. So people are saying no sound again on Instagram. I don't know what's up with the Instagram feed. It's very strange. Okay, so that means I'm going to have to restart again. I do have another phone here. I might just have to later on get that so you guys can enjoy the live performance that we have coming later on. All right, so Tamara, thank you so much for those comments. Anybody else want to give me a call? Anybody else wants to join in? Misha? Broadbelt Micheline says, hi, Sandy. Hey, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. Okay, 5G conspiracy theory. So it claims that 5G is contributing to the problem either by weakening people's immune systems or even transmitting the virus. So this is what people want you to believe. The theory is getting boosted by celebrities like Woody Harrelson, and arsonists have set fires to 5G antennas in the UK and other places in the world, which is ridiculous. So 5G is going to be the new, what's going to replace 4G. Did we set 4G towers on fire? I don't think so. Did we set 3G fires on tower? I don't think so. So the first thing is, can 5G transmit the virus? So we know that the virus is transmitted primarily through human-to-human close contact within 6 feet, through respiratory droplets, and we've heard this time and time again, produced when an infected person coughs or sneezes. 5G is electromagnetic waves, not droplets. So how can an electromagnetic wave carry a virus? I don't know. So we know that the virus can survive for limited periods of time outside of the host, and the host is human beings, me and you. So it's up to 72 hours in stainless steel, plastics, and other steel surfaces. And we've talked about this before. There's absolutely no evidence, folks, that radio waves can transmit any viruses, nor that a 5G tower could sustain the virus for any significant amount of time. I don't even know if people really think about some of these things because it sounds so incredibly ridiculous. So the other part of this rumor now is that 5G, I'm sorry, Instagram, it's just not happening. I would suggest probably just jumping on the Facebook feed. That 5G it weakens the immune system. And again, the World Health Organization says to date, and after much research performed, there is no adverse health effect that has been linked to exposure of wireless technologies. So 5G again is non-ionizing portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, meaning that the waves lack the power to damage cells. And there has been someone sent me something a couple days ago about, oh, but 5G causes cancer. It's like everything that's new, we're going to have to go through the rumor mill with and talk about these things. There was a cluster of kids somewhere in the world who had a cancer scare, and this person, read one article that said that and did no additional follow-up, and they're convinced that, that's what's happening. If you are someone who has bought into the, and that was a Daily Mail article, by the way, that they referred to, but if you are someone that has bought into, the vaccination theories and stuff before, you are more likely to believe a story like the 5G story. I'm just saying. Conspiracy theorists, they kind of want to believe that somebody's out to get us and that this is going on. So just like they think vaccines contain mercury that damages us, or that, you shouldn't vaccinate your kids because there's something in the vaccinations. And I mean, the list is extensive and long in terms of what people believe. And so there is research to say that if you believe one conspiracy, you're more likely to believe all of them pretty much. So you are a conspiracy theorist and you're likely to. Even on the issue of the whole thing with the cancers, right? So 5G has been being installed from 2018 now. So why wouldn't it have been spreading a virus before? Why hasn't it caused all of these other things before? So these same moms, I want you guys to get this straight, right? So there have been 4 kids in this place, and I want to share this with you because it's important to understand virus, how these theories get started, and how, especially in this day and age of social media, and this is why the government here in the Cayman Islands, YouTube and other such businesses are taking the spread of rumors extremely seriously, because the spread of rumors can be extremely dangerous, and it can cause people to act on their irrational fears and do things that, makes no sense. So, there's a lot of scientific research that has been done on, so Eric seems to believe in the 5G theory based on what he's saying here about, we don't know yet, this is unknown. Well, actually, the impact of electromagnetic waves isn't as unknown as you think. There has been immense research on it. So saying it's relatively unknown is actually not correct. And this is where you have to make it your purpose in life to really go out there and read the scientific journals and read the research that has been done. Because people spend thousands of research hours collecting data and pooling information together. Now, I want you guys to listen to this, right? So the original Daily Mail article, which was published in, let me see when this was. I don't even know what year this was. So 4 kids in an area get cancer, and the first thing the parents want to run to is, it must be this 5G tower, shut it down, blah, blah, blah. So this was April of 2019 that this article came out. Now, this article claimed that 8 children have been diagnosed with cancer at the same elementary school, prompting parents to fear that it's the cell phone tower. To jump to that conclusion, I do not know. But it is this Weston Elementary School in, I don't know what part of the States this is. I think this might be California. I don't even know. So that's daily how the story gets changed up every single time it's reported on, right? So then the latest story now by who is this? So this is California, yes, Sacramento. Yes, Sacramento now says it's only 4 kids. So which is it? Is it 4 or is it 8? Because doubling the numbers in the Daily Mail article makes a humongous difference. So they did a whole audio, which I'm going to play here in a second. And they said that now the parents, so that was April, by May of 2019, so a month. It's like, come on, people. Like, seriously? In this space to change their minds. This is after complaining to governments and, oh, this tower is killing us, blah, blah, blah. The parents apparently have changed their minds and they're no longer blaming the tower. They have a new theory. Parents, when your children are sick, you're afraid, you're going through the most horrible thing in your lives, you will look for all sorts of things and reasons. But here's something you need to understand about cancers. Cancers do not appear overnight. By the time you can detect, for example, a lump in your breast, even the size of a pin, you have had that cancerous cell there for 10 to 15 years. So cancerous cells some grow at a quicker pace than others, but normally by the time they are detectable by the technology we have, they have been around for years. So yes, these kids are young, but their cancers did not just pop up in a month after a 5G tower went in. So there's like logical things like, I'm not a physician, I'm not a cancer specialist, I'm not a 5G specialist, but there are things about this from just even a common sense perspective that does not make any sense. So what they now want to talk about is the fact that they believe that the pollution from the water table, so the actual ground is polluted, this is more likely to actually be the cause than the 5G. But initially they were blaming the 5G, and people again who love a conspiracy theory saw that one article, they're going to hold on to that in their head, and they're going to repeat that time and time again. Oh, 5G is causing cancer in kids. Well, what about the fact that a month after those parents said that, they've done a complete 180 and they've changed their minds? And now it's not 8 kids, but it's only 4 kids. So which media source are we going to believe? But they have decades of information that a lot of the water tables and, the soil in the US, sometimes where schools are built on top of, or recycled land that was like a nuclear, this is an exaggeration obviously, but a nuclear facility or some kind of plant or something that pumped water into the ground, into their drinking water, and it is dangerous to your health and it causes health issues. That is a known fact. There's a lot of city water that you cannot rely upon in the US in terms of drinking it. And if people are drinking this water, they're using it to cook their foods, of course it's going into your system. And we know that this what do they call it? This tricloethylene TCE, which is one of the sister chemicals to all these other vinyl chloride and whatever, that these things actually do cause cancers. Kidney cancers, liver cancers, breast, leukemia. That is a known fact. So we also know that Nestle, the Nestle Corporation, used TCE to decaffeinate coffee in its factory in this same town of Ripton until 1970. And those chemicals were still discoverable in water decades later, in the groundwater. So a lot of these companies have been, slapped with fines. They've been sued. So Nestle was issued what's called a cleanup and abatement order to try to track the movement of TCE chemicals in the water. But they do the bare minimum. Believe me, just like the cruise lines, they do the bare minimum when it comes to the environment. So that data is out there, and I want you guys to listen to this now in terms of what the parents are saying. So this is why it is so dangerous for people to grab onto a piece of information and to put the information out there, not following up with the story and not keeping up with the data, not doing any independent research, none of that. is to listen to the audio clip of this. We can't pull in video right now, but I do want you to listen to exactly what these parents are saying. So just give me 1 second here. Let's see if I can pull this up. So these are the mothers now speaking.
Shifting their focus from the sky to the ground, the school cell tower is gone. Now parents of kids with cancer in Ripon also want answers about what's in the water. CBS 13 investigates.
Why did you wait 6 months to let folks know that you took this well offline?
CBS 13 investigator Julie Watts is digging deeper, uncovering holes in city records tied to a chemical known to cause cancer.
Yeah, we searched decades of Ripon's water records, and we found missing data, inaccurate information, and some years Ripon skipped required testing for certain.
Uh-oh. Sorry, let me see what's going on
with
here.
7 of the parents here, and they want answers.
We off it. We could check off to make sure that these children don't get sick anymore.
Their sons, Kyle and Mason, were diagnosed with cancer a year apart. Kelly and Monica first focused the possible contributor. It's since been removed.
So I just got 2 more entries.
Now, unintentional activists, they're compiling a list of other cancer, and as that list grows, they're broadening their focus to include the chemicals found in Ripon's water. So what does this list tell you?
There's a serious problem.
The cancers on their list include kidney, liver, breast, leukemia, and others linked to trichloroethylene, or TCE, and its sister chemicals. TCE was used to decaffeinate coffee at the former Nestle plant in Ripon in the 70s and was later found in the groundwater in the late 80s. Nestle is now required to track the chemicals by testing the water in wells in Ripon, and records show they've migrated away from the plant towards homes and schools. Hi there, Mr. Johnston? Yeah. The state also requires Ripon to test the city's drinking water annually and to report when these chemicals. But CBS 13 uncovered Ripon didn't report any TCE testing at this well in 2011 or 2013, and in 2017 they tested but left the results off the public report. So we've sent several emails. After the city ignored our interview requests, we caught up with the director of public works at that drinking water well in hopes of getting some answers. You signed this document certifying that the 2017 CCR was both accurate and on the city's homepage. Neither of those were true. Did you review the documents before you signed them?
Yes, I did, and we inadvertently did miss the TCE on
the city says it simply forgot to report the TCE, but corrected the mistake 8 months later following media attention to the recent child cancer cases.
That's quite the human error.
An excuse that doesn't sit well with Kelly and Monica.
For how long have they done that? How long have they known that TCE's been in the water, but left it off of an annual report that's supposed to be given to the public? TCE is kidney cancer. That's what my son had. Liver cancer is the second. That's what my neighbor died of. So why did we not know?
We learned Ripon found the chemicals in this well last summer at 90% the maximum level allowed by law, but waited 4 months to shut the well down and 6 more months to notify the public of the results or closure. Did you know that the well had reached 90% of the legal limit?
No.
No.
I had no.
The well down?
No.
And they want to know just how high the levels got during that 4-month lag time.
And if it tested 90% that day, it could have tested 100 or over 100 the week before.
The city won't confirm if it did any additional testing, but the moms also want to know why they didn't share the results sooner. Why did you wait 6 months to let folks know that you took this well offline?
Again, I'm going to have to ask you if we can do this another time.
We're still waiting for that interview, but it's important to note this is only one of 5 did not test positive for the chemicals, though it's not clear how much water any one home got from this well at any given time. Now, the city insists, quote, at no time was water delivered from this well or any other well that did not meet safe drinking water standards.
I don't know that I believe that. Do they know that for a fact?
They had the right to know what was in their water, and they didn't. If you had known that, would you have allowed your children to drink that water?
Absolutely not.
Even knowing it was still below the legal limit?
Absolutely not.
So interesting. So, Julia, is the cancer rate in Ripon higher than the rest of the state?
You know, the answer is we don't know right now. We're still waiting for more data from the state. A report, though, on all childhood cancers in Ripon did not find an excess number compared to the rest of the county, though the county rate is higher than the state. But that report did not include kids diagnosed after 2016. That's most of the families we spoke with. It also didn't look at adults with cancers. And as you know, cancer can take years to develop. So we hope to have more information soon.
Oh, we know we'll follow up.
All right. So again, this whole 5G thing, it's incredibly interesting. The parents initially wanted to blame that for their kids' cancers. It seems like the more likely and scientific reason is actually the drinking water, the contaminated drinking water that they have in their particular city that is being fed through from a well into their homes. And again, cancers take years to develop. 5G has not been around that long. It's been around since 2018. They started to install these 5G towers. So I think just out of ignorance and fear, the family members and parents jumped on this whole 5G bandwagon, and they actually got the city to remove 5G when is potentially providing more reliable internet service to people. And I want to talk more about this 5G thing because there are people who hold on to this idea no matter what you say to them or what you tell them. And so we've only gotten through one rumor here this morning, but there's so many more. We can continue the discussion over a number of days to kind of tackle some of these. So 5G has no association with the coronavirus whatsoever. It's not weakening your immune system. There's no evidence to support that. And once again, I think people need to do the scientific research. There is more than, you don't have to do the scientific research. There are people who are doing it. You just need to go out there and read what's there. And, again, there are people who want to believe that 5G is causing cancers. And that is, again, there's no evidence to support that. And I mean, look at this city in this case, right? The public works people collecting data, not updating it and providing it to the public. At least they have those rights in their country. A lot of countries in the world, including Cayman, there's no requirement that any of that information is provided to the public. If you don't FOI it or you don't think about it, or, it may not even be tested or even being done. And those agencies here in the Cayman Islands don't have to make that information public. Whereas at least in the US, there is a requirement, although obviously from that video clip that we just heard, that they are still not, they're still not doing so in a lot of instances, or they're waiting, 6 to 8 months to provide the information, and they are also not shutting down the wells as they should be. So that's that kind of stuff. That is crazy. And that is, those types of actions will lead people to buy into these conspiracy theories when they feel like their governments are not doing their jobs. And it's like, well, if they haven't done that, how are we to trust them with 5G or anything else for that matter? And that's why people, like I always say, if you provide information to the public, they will not trust you. And that is why I always say, give people the information in a manner that they can understand it, and that, they can, even if they don't understand it, try to break it down, explain it to them. And I think that will help with some of the fake rumors out there and some of the fake stories that tend to want to circulate, because a lot of people circulate that because of a lack of understanding, a lack of knowledge, a lack of information. And if people feel like you're hiding information for them, they're more likely to buy into what just about anybody is saying. So there's a lot of information about, and I don't want to get too technical here, about 5G. So obviously, like I said, 5G is the 5th generation, that's why it's called 5G, of wireless technology. And it can span a range of frequencies. So there's low bandwidth frequencies, which offer slower internet connections, but they can travel over longer distances. And then at the higher end of the spectrum, there's high band frequencies or millimeter wave frequencies, and connections on millimeter wave, which are much faster, enable it to travel through obstacles, but it can't really travel long distances. So that's the difference, right? And then there's mid-range frequencies, which offer medium speed connections at a medium distance. So no relation to the coronavirus. That is absolutely ridiculous. 5G was around before the coronavirus. 5G actually started being started to be rolled out in 2018. And China has deployed one of the largest 5G networks in the world. And it's then that little piece of information that the conspiracy theorists will say, you see, this is why it has to be connected. And that just is completely false. So 5G did not start in China. In fact, although they have launched it in a very broad capacity, it started being rolled out in South Korea and parts of the US way before China. South Korea has had one of the best rates of containing this corona virus than anywhere in the world. So that is evidence that flies against what conspiracy theorists are trying to say. And of course, if you understand how the virus works and how it's transmitted, this concept that radio waves could somehow impact a virus's development or transmission is unfounded. It's ridiculous. So here's another thing that is important that helps to debunk this. Infection rate of coronavirus in areas that have no 5G is the same depending on the size of the city. So there are some 5G areas that are large cities, like in China, but those large cities, it's because of their size why they would have more of an infection rate. So again, people are seeking to take bits and pieces of disjointed information and put it together in a way that's illogical and doesn't make any sense. The other fact is China isn't even using waves for its 5G networks yet. It's using what they call sub 6 gigahertz waves, which falls in the mid-band spectrum. And these radio waves have been used for years. All 4G towers use frequencies in this range. And they've just been repurposed for 5G. So when you start to dig into the technology and understand it, there's probably not a whole lot of difference between 4G and 5G, except the end goal is 5G is going to give you greater speeds. So there's tons of information about high frequency, I'm going to share this article with you guys because I think you should go read it for yourself. Do not engage in spreading misinformation, which can only be harmful to people. Instead, seek to get correct information, learn and understand these things for yourself. Because you do no one any good doing that. Oh, we've got Alric who's joined us. I'm sorry, Alric. I did not see that you were there. Let us bring you in. Hello.
Good morning. I'm just testing your link.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm just testing your link.
Well, I can hear you loud and clear, actually. I think there is a little bit of a feedback, but I can hear you. So normally in situations like this, the best way to get the best connection is use a headset. Are you using a phone or PC to join in on the conversation?
Laptop.
A laptop, okay. You don't sound too bad, actually. I can't hear you. I think the little feedback is probably just from your mic picking up. And then I hear that as well. So how are you doing, Alric?
Doing great. I need a haircut, but barber clothes,
Yeah, we're all in the same situation. Trust me, right now, my toes are looking like alligator feet. And I'm not even trying to impress anybody with those, but it is what it is. Couldn't get a pedicure scheduled before the lockdown happened, so just got to wait and see exactly what goes down. So tell us a little bit about your plans for the Easter weekend.
Today, we're doing the usual, which is preparing the grocery bags for tomorrow. You did the live broadcast from First Assembly of God Church last time for the giving of groceries to people in need. So
sorry, Alric. Ann did pick up on the echo as well. So like I said, I think that's because he's not using a headset. So next time he joins us, we'll encourage him to plug a headset into the laptop. And I think that will take that echo away, actually. I don't know if you have a headset, Alric, but so what Alric is talking about right now, the information that he is sharing with us is about the food bank. So as you guys know, Alric is one of their volunteers. And just because this is Easter weekend, that doesn't mean that the needs of the hungry people in the community, the needs of the elderly, of the children that have, no meals goes away. They need to eat on Easter weekend as well. So Alric, continue.
I think the echo might be affecting everyone, so I'll go and purchase a headset so I can join your wonderful conversation.
Well, surely you must have a phone headset or somewhere laying around the place.
No? Somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Look for it for the next time. But no, we can hear you. So you're gonna be back. Today's Friday, so today you guys prep the actual bags that get distributed tomorrow.
Yeah, there are actually a lot of volunteers that come today, and package bag should be about 200 bags, and that's to get ready for tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. First Assembly of God Church, 195 Old Crew Road. So those people who are vulnerable in society, the people who are having difficulties with COVID, losing their jobs, unemployed, we're trying to reach out to those people and encourage them to come down on Saturday, 9 to 12, to collect a bag of groceries. So just trying to help out. Wherever the food bank can help out is trying to help.
Right. Okay. All right, folks. So again, if you're in need, of course, they'll be at First Assembly Church of God, which is right there on the roundabout that we often, it's now the CUC roundabout, but we often associate it with the King's Gym complex. But as you're coming off that roundabout, right to the left is the First Assembly Church. And you can go there, and they, like Alric said, they'll probably have close to 200 bags of groceries that include, canned goods, things that you can cook easily, like pastas and whatever, as well as some toiletries. So no one should ever go in need in our community, but of course, especially celebrating Easter. So that's part of your weekend. You'll be helping with packing and distributing of those. What else do you have on for the weekend, Alric?
I was hoping you would pray for me.
Always.
No other plans. Hopefully
on Sunday for Sunday dinner, like what's going on in the household for meals?
Well, I'm actually at an apartment that I was trying to fix up. So, this virus came all of a sudden, so I'm stuck here alone. And so I've been on YouTube trying all these recipes, So if you hear of a house burning down near Windsor Park.
No, Alric. Take the advice from the Cayman Islands Fire Service. Don't leave the pot unattended. Don't leave the stove or oven unattended. Don't try any crazy recipes. You'll be okay.
Well, have you tried duck?
I eat duck all the time. It's actually one of my favorites. Peking duck is a favorite meal of mine.
So can you send a recipe? Because I randomly.
I never made duck. So
Okay.
it's not something I've ever cooked. because there's certain animals that I will eat, but I'm not necessarily keen on preparing them myself, because that forces me to think about it at a different level. Like, I will eat turtle, but I've never cooked turtle, and I don't think I probably ever will. So Corrine says that she'll give you a haircut. Well, not now, obviously. After COVID-19 curfew is done. So Anne is having a little laugh. She said burnt food. Hopefully not. So I'm actually going to do a little meatloaf recipe myself. So I have a bunt pan. I was actually telling Misha about this. You know the cake bunt pans that you have? You can do so many things in those. And so one of the fun things to do is like meat recipes, and like, because it takes the shape of the bunt pan, right? So I do a meatloaf recipe that comes out looking like a big donut. So you've got the hole in the middle, and then, so I'm going to do that recipe today. I think after this, I'm going to get in the kitchen and start chopping up all my fresh ingredients, my onion and garlic, and get it seasoned in the oven. And then I'm going to make my restaurant style mashed potatoes with that. And the fun thing with this recipe for presentation purposes is after you do the bunt, you can actually put a little bit of the mashed potato like in the middle, and it just looks pretty. So, you know, my favorite chef Remy always says, presentation is so important when it comes to food. You eat first with your eyes and then your mouth.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Well,
if food looks good, you're going to be like, oh, it's going to taste good.
so tell me about your cooking experience. When you're cooking, do you end up eating at the same time?
No, I never do that. I'm a very funny person in the kitchen. I don't even taste food as I'm cooking it. So I don't engage in any of that. I simply cook the meals and I taste it when everybody else is tasting it, kind of thing. So if I mess up a recipe, I won't know until the end product that it's kind of messed up. Even with salt, I try not to use a whole lot of salt in my cooking, because I find if you use other seasonings that you can get the same rich flavor without the need to put any salt in it. But for a lot of recipes, what I do use is kosher salt, which is a little bit coarser and it's a thicker salt. It's not like table salt. But yeah, no, I don't, I want to do a couple. Misha and I have this idea already, but even before Misha, I've been talking to Noelle about this. I want to do some like in the kitchen segments with Sandy kind of thing, so that you guys can actually join me in the kitchen and kind of see some recipes and just chat over, you know, preparing a meal. But yeah, I don't taste any foods or anything like that. I just cook it and prepare it. I do get recipes, so I'm a recipe person, and I follow recipes and then I modify them. So like my original mac and cheese recipe is a recipe I've had for many, many years that I got from Paula Deen. And basically you do it all together. So I do my cheeses in one pot. You know, I do the boiling of the mac in another pot. And then it's like cheeses and milks. And I get that perfect concoction, because that's the most important thing. And it's like multiple cheeses. The more cheeses you have in mac and cheese, the better. So I don't make a mac and cheese that only has one cheese in it. It'll have like cheddar cheese, a sharp cheddar cheese, some mozzarella cheese, some Parmesan, like I put in. And then if it's a special occasion like Christmas, when you can splurge a little bit with the Christmas budget, I go for some of the more expensive cheeses. Some of them you can't even pronounce, but like the Gouda cheeses and all these other, you know, cheeses that you pay like $15 for a little brick of cheese. But it adds like different flavoring and stuff to the mac and cheese.
Yeah.
I do a bacon mac and cheese, but then sometimes we have non-pork eaters coming over for big events. So I do 2 batches, but listen, if you've ever had bacon mac and cheese, it is to die for. It's like off the chain good. So don't get me started in food. As you can see, I love cooking and recipes and eating. And
Well, unfortunately, I end up eating everything I cook before I'm finished. So to answer, I see Antoinette asked a question.
yes.
So Antoinette, the food bank generally supports and partners with organizations like Meals on Wheels, However, from time to time, the food bank does help individuals. So the food bank partners with the First Assembly of God Church every Saturday to give out groceries. Normally, an assessment form would be completed, but because of the coronavirus, COVID-19 crisis, we're not turning anyone away, but we are encouraging the people that are having real difficulty, the people who have lost their jobs and have no income. We're really encouraging those people to come down, but generally speaking, not turning people away.
Okay. Very good. So Anne says, Sandy, sounds like you can really cook. Well, I don't have any complaints. So, and I do come from a family of not professional chefs, but many of you will know my mother, Miss Pam from Georgetown, and that she has, although technically she's never shown me a recipe, maybe it's in the genes, I don't know, but she has cooked all of her life, and you'll find her at like, you know, well, now she's in her 80s, so, you know, that's not happening as often anymore, but you will find her at events like Pirates Week with her stall and stuff like that. So, yeah, we've got some good chefs in the family, to be honest. My Aunt Adonia is obviously from East End. She makes the best rice and beans. I still haven't really mastered Caymanian style rice and beans, but I kind of do my own version with brown rice. I'm trying to be healthier a lot of times. But, you know, I got coconut rice down to T. So anytime I make coconut rice, and I do it often with my curry chicken, some naan bread, or some, you know, my husband is Jamaican, but he's Indian Jamaican. So they eat certain things. You know, they have Indian curry is very different than the curry that we use in this part of the world. So when his mom makes curry chicken, whew, it is spicy. That will burn a new hole in your stomach spicy. Because it's a totally different curry, actually. Like, it is very interesting. But, you know, they eat it with roti and stuff like that. So it's interesting how we've mixed our cultures. Irvin says, yes, Sandy, that's my recipe. I made the roux with flour, 6 different cheeses, and then I melt it in the pot, a little bit of seasoned salt and paprika. And I have a special seasoning. I don't even want to tell you guys what it is, but I have a special seasoning that I put in my mac and cheese. Because for me, it's the seasoning. You know, when I get mac and cheese that's just like noodles and cheese, I'm just like, this is not the right recipe. You got to see all the little flakes and pebbles. And you know what else is really good? And I don't do it as often anymore because my husband actually, despite him being Indian and coming from a family that eats a lot of spicy foods, he himself isn't one of the spicy persons in terms of his palate. So his mom had 4 boys, and 2 boys loved the spice. And I think 2 were kind of like medium, like they're not too into the spice. But I mean, his oldest brother will make roasted conch that it will burn. It's so good. But when I tell you the fresh hot pepper, Scotch pepper, what's it called? Or pepper again? Scotch bonnet, sorry. Is like, whoa. I mean, he just puts it right in the foil and then roasts it. And the pepper just explodes with flavor and heat. So Atlas says, are we going past 2 hours? We're going to be wrapping up here shortly, Atlas, because I actually need to get in the kitchen. But yeah, it is, it's really good. But one of the things I actually do sometimes with mac and cheese, if I know my audience doesn't mind a little heat, is I put in pepper flakes in my mac and cheese.
You got skills, man.
Yeah, it's like a little, it's like mac and cheese with a kick, you know? So, who's, Atlas wants to know who's on the call. So I think, hold on one second. I can actually, there is a way, I'm still learning this new system. Levita says, Ms. Pam is my favorite. So there is a way, Alric, that I can actually put your name up on screen. I'm just trying to see how to do that. Give me 1 second here. So I'm still learning a little bit of the ins and outs of this. And I think his name is there, but it's actually being hidden by the branding. So let me just remove that. I'm going to show you guys. There it is. Alric Lindsay. So that is who is on screen with us at the moment. So someone wanted to know, who is Alric? We have to do a whole show on who Alric is. And you guys will know. Alric actually ran in the last election, and he's a lawyer by trade. He's a lawyer, and Alric is involved in a lot of community activities. So Alric says, I want some pancakes.
Atlas said that.
Atlas, sorry. Not Alric, Atlas. Want some pancakes. So my favorite pancakes to make, I may go make some pancakes, you know, Atlas. Now you guys got me all into the kitchen mode. I'm going to run into the kitchen here in a second. But my favorite pancakes to make are Swedish pancakes. They are very, very thin. They're almost like crepes. Like they're so thin. But I love the thinness. I love how they come out. So I'm thinking maybe I can throw on some turkey bacon, some eggs real quick, some scrambled eggs, and some pancakes. And then I'll do my lunch stroke dinner of my meatloaf in the bunt pan. So Anne says, yes, I have some Jamaican and Indian friends, and the food is so spicy, and they love roti. So they either love roti or naan. There is a difference between the two, but they're very similar in some respects, and that they're bread, obviously. But yeah, I think it's called a tawa, which is like the metal thing that you actually make roti on. It's just like a flat piece of round metal, and you put that on the stove, and you cook that, and then you put the roti on it when you mix the roti. Now, I have to confess, I'm not gonna lie, I do not make roti from scratch. That is not my thing yet. But you know, all of Marlon's cousins and his mom, everybody can do it because they're all from that Indian background. So there's no reason why I shouldn't know how to do it. I just am kind of lazy with making certain doughs and stuff like that. So I'll buy the roti that I can just slap on the tawa and get going with it. All right. Alric, thank you so much for joining us.
I mean, it was a good test run.
Yes.
I think you should invite Atlas to come online with you.
Yes. Well, Atlas just came out of quarantine, so I definitely think that at some point, yeah, we'll get. I saw your message. Yeah, that Atlas would definitely come on and tell us about his quarantine experience. But thank you so much. I know you have got a lot of work to do today. I've got to get my day started as well. I actually have a bunch of QuickBooks work that my brain is like, this weekend, I got to get some QuickBooks work done. Please note that we have a surprise performance coming for you guys a little bit later on this afternoon. I'm going to put it up on the Facebook feed to let you guys know in advance when we're going to go live. We just need to do a test run with the musician to make sure that everything is going to be up and running. And I think that you guys should be good. So by all means, apologies to Instagram folks. We just could not get the audio sorted out today. I don't know what happened there. We'll see if we can hopefully sort that out for the next live stream. But yeah, we're going to have a live performance by a local musician who is incredibly talented. And he's just going to have a jam session, bringing you some good feel-good music for Good Friday. So make sure that you guys tune into that. And Anne is wishing you good luck today with all the donations and stuff that you guys are going to be working with. Alric and Philip from the Cayman Islands Food Bank. Well, Philip is the actual director at the Cayman Islands Food Bank. So he does all of the stuff, but Alric is one of the volunteers. Misha, Corey, there's a whole slew of volunteers that make this possible. There's, you know, the young man from West Bay, East End is getting a pantry set up. So we want to thank everyone in the community who works with this wonderful organization, the Cayman Islands Food Bank, and by extension, any food pantries that are out in the community that help feed different members of this community. Elderly, children, homeless, you know, just people who've fallen in hard times. So thank you guys so much. Alric, have a beautiful day. beautiful day to everyone. We still got about 40 something people who've hung in there. And I know that, we're up to, quite a good number this morning. So thank you guys, as always, for tuning in to Cayman Mall Road and the love and support that you guys have shown to us. I've been receiving your messages and people have been messaging me. Big shout out to JR from the Lodge in the Strand. JR did send me a message yesterday. I'll read this. He said, hey, hope you're doing okay. Your information and podcasts have been the rock for so many people. Cheers, Sandra. And so JR has really been enjoying those as well. So thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. Couple of stories I'm working on for you. One was from last weekend, actually, but I've just got video footage of that. I'm going to just put the story together. We don't have a whole lot of details because it's a government situation and everyone's focused on COVID-19. So there's certain things that are going a little bit under the radar that nobody's talking about. But CMR, we're digging and we're going to put it out there. So we're going to put that story out there. We're going to do the one about Starbucks laying off staff. And I think those are the two that are on my radar. I'll check in with Denisha, who is our regional correspondent, to see what she's got in the pipeline. I think she's going to put together a little biography on herself about who she is and what she does and, that sort of thing. Because you guys have seen more and more regional and Jamaican news. And I think some of you are like, why are we seeing more regional news? And you're getting confused. So in case you missed that live show, she's going to do an article on the website to kind of just introduce herself and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is who I am, and so on. Okay, Island Taste laying off staff as well. Oh no.
I just want to say happy Easter to you, Sandy. Happy Easter and happy Easter to everyone online. I'm going to head out now, but have a great day and have a great Easter.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, folks, again, thank you for tuning into the program. Thank you, Alric, for doing that little bit of a test run with us. We're able to see how having a guest in studio works, and we appreciate the love and support always. And you guys have a wonderful day.